Louise Baker-Martins. I'm a clinical psychologist. I put together a series of short videos on the topic of how we take care of our sleep at this time so we can stay in good health and continue to function to the best of our ability. So the first topic is how we protect and prioritise our sleep at a time like this. There are so many factors that could potentially unhelpfully interfere with our sleep. So the first thing to say is if you are struggling at the moment and sleep is difficult in some way, then this is a very typical and understandable reaction to the circumstances that we are being faced with. There's so much to adjust to adapt to on a day-to-day basis, and all the emotional upheaval that goes with that. So the good news is that for the vast majority of people, this is an uncomfortable and can be very difficult time to manage not getting enough sleep. But if we provide the conditions that sleep needs to settle back in, it will do that for us without us having to put too much effort into that. So how do we protect our sleep system? So if you're sleeping very well, then continue to do what you're doing and to protect time for wind down, for rest and for sleep. So that can be one of the first things that takes a hit when we're in very difficult circumstances. We can feel that it's not important to look after our sleep in that way, and work life starts to spill into the evening time, and we feel that by problem solving into the night or worrying, planning, whatever it is, that is going to secure the best outcomes for us. And I think it can be helpful to remind ourselves of the functions of sleep, why we sleep, so that we can make a decision about whether that is the best approach to managing at the moment, or whether getting a good night's sleep is going to provide you with the foundations to cope and go about your roles and responsibilities in the best way. So the first thing that sleep does for us is it really does protect our emotional and mental health. So we are far less likely to experience anxiety, low mood, intrusive thought. Sleep protects us from all of these things, and when we get good sleep, the areas of the brain that are responsible for emotion regulation stay well balanced, so we're able to cope with those very difficult situations that face us far more robustly when we've had a good night. The second thing that sleep is doing for us is it is optimizing just about all of our cognitive functions. So how well we use our attention, how well we can listen to and absorb and remember information, how well we can be creative with finding solutions. All of these things, sleep really does give us a head start. And then finally, and really importantly at the moment, of course, is sleep provides our immune system with what it needs to function well. So it produces and releases proteins that fight infection. So those are three really good things to remember when we're tempted to get caught up in believing that sleep will come later on. And actually, the more we start interfering with sleep by letting work life spill over into the evening, we start to break up the positive associations that we have with sleep. And when actually we would like sleep to settle back in, it can take much longer for that to happen, because your sleep drive and your sleep rhythm, which we need to be in sync, can become sort of decoupled, and it can be very difficult for that system to settle back down. The other thing to remember is that if you do have a few nights that are particularly bad and you start worrying or getting anxious about your sleep, that entering that struggle with sleep and that kind of battle with how do you get hold of sleep in case it doesn't come back again is also an unhelpful response. So as best you can, protecting the time that maybe you're not sleeping but you can rest, so you can do some low level activities that you enjoy and that are good for your self-care, and keep the mind and the body in a settled place anyway. That is the most helpful response to allow sleep to settle back in when we have adjusted to what we're going through and when we're ready for that to happen. So hopefully a few of those tips might be helpful, and the next video I am covering how we provide structure to our sleep. in order that it can be the best quality sleep possible at this time. A final thing to say is that if you've come to this video very worried about your sleep, and maybe you are in a bit of a struggle with it and it's become a persistent problem and you're impacted in how you feel in your mood and how you're doing in the day, then please contact us at Clinical Psychology, because we may be able to advise you on some more individualised approaches to getting your sleep back on track.